Eskom's embattled head of generation and former acting CEO Matshela Koko has been suspended. Koko previously avoided suspension after a disciplinary hearing. Last week, Koko appeared in front of a parliamentary committee investigating state capture and corruption at Eskom. To speak more on this, we are now joined on the line by Eskom spokesperson Khulu Phasiwe. Khulu, thank you so much for joining us. Can you confirm whether Matshela Koko has been suspended?
Well, yes, I can confirm that Mr. Koko was given a suspension letter today, and he's going to be waiting for the time when he'll be called upon during the time when management has consolidated the evidence against him, and then he will be going to a disciplinary hearing. Yes.
Are you at liberty to inform us about the reasons for Koko's suspension?
Well, at this stage, I'm afraid I'm not in a position to go into deeper details. Suffice to say that his suspension is in relation to corporate governance lapses within Eskom.
Will Eskom be pursuing any legal action against Matshela Koko going forward?
Well, any step that will be taken after this, I would say, internal inquiry would be determined at a later stage. For now, the priority of management is basically just to understand as to what had happened for these lapses to have happened, and then obviously based on the strength of the argument that will be coming from Mr. Koko, then a determination will be made at that particular time as to what's going to happen.
We've seen Matshela Koko, who previously approached the Labour Court in Johannesburg to seek an interdict preventing Eskom from removing him from his post. Has he reacted to the latest development? Well,
the Labour Court, as you correctly say, has given Mr. Koko and Eskom until the 6th of February for them to come and basically present their cases. And that's what is going to happen. So this suspension, in other words, has nothing to do with that particular Labour Court hearing. So that process will continue as planned. And then in the interim, internally, then Eskom will be gathering evidence against Mr. Koko based on the information that has been brought forward to Eskom management. And maybe let me just contextualize this as to what has happened and what is going on. Yesterday, the management of Eskom had said that they were appealing to all the Eskom employees to come forward with whatever information that they may have about I would say, the wrongdoings that are going on within Eskom, and the information obviously will be treated with all the confidentiality that it deserves. So basically, the new management is trying to, I would say, clean the house essentially to make sure that we put Eskom back to its, I would say, levels of reputation that it used to enjoy, and the work is beginning now. So management has said that in total we have just over about 600 cases that are going to be reviewed, and many of them include contracts that were awarded to various individuals and companies, and some of that information is now coming to the fore, which is resulting in some of our managers being suspended as we are talking about Mr. Koko now.
Apart from Mr. Koko, are there other officials who are also being pursued in the same instance as he is?
Well, with this over 600 cases that management is looking into, it will not surprise me to see other people being on suspension as well, because as more of this information comes forward, then clearly if there are violations on any part of our managers, then they will be facing the same fate.
Can you give us a time frame with regards to how long the process will take with this suspension? And as you said, the Labour Court appearance is a separate matter which will be taking place on the 6th of February. Is there, what sort of time frames are we looking at with regards to this particular suspension of the former CEO Matshela Koko?
Well, the time frames are a function of the volume of information that you're dealing with. If you have tons and tons of documents to go through, then clearly it may take a bit of time. But the management has said yesterday that everything that we're going to be doing now is going to be done decisively and with speed. So I'm sure they're going to try to do everything possible to make sure that by the time the new CEO is appointed, then they start essentially from a clean slate. And you'll remember that the new CEO and the new CFO in terms of the time frames that management is looking into, is within the next 3 months. So we'll see. Hopefully by then, all of these processes would have been completed.
Khulu, you mentioned just now that about plus minus 600 cases that are to be reviewed with regards to contracts, whether they were fraudulently awarded, what the situation is. What happens if it is discovered that some of those contracts were awarded fraudulently or irregularly? What's the process going forward? Will action be taken against those particular companies or individuals? Can you just take us through that process going forward?
Well, yes, I think we're going to follow the same process as we are doing now with, say, McKinsey and Killian. Remember, Eskom had written a letter to McKinsey basically saying that the contracts or the money that were paid to them were paid unlawfully, and we would like that money to be paid back. And McKinsey had made a commitment to that effect. And people who were, I would say, involved in that particular case, many of them are on suspension now. Others, obviously, because investigations are ongoing, they might also be suspended as time goes on. So in other words, all we are saying is that there is likely to be more of these cases being uncovered, and it might result in some of our managers also being suspended.
And just in wrapping up, Khulu, with the decisions being taken currently, suspensions and investigations, is the supply of energy from Eskom running smoothly? Are there any disruptions with regards to the work and mandate of Eskom within the country and elsewhere?
You know, the problems that are sort of bedeviling Eskom are generally caused by a few people within Eskom. So we have 47,000 people within this organization. The majority of them are people who are professionals doing their job without focusing on other things. So, which is why, so far, we have had relative stability in terms of supply of power, because those people who are charged with the responsibility of making sure that we keep the lights on, the lights are kept on by those particular people. It's only a few people, and primarily right at the top, who are basically dealing with other things that are outside of their mandate, and that's why we are in this situation. But I'm sure in due course we will have some of these cases resolved, including primarily the request that was made by the 400 managers within Eskom 2 weeks ago, who had requested to the Deputy President that they must do everything possible, including obviously the mandate by the new board now, to make sure that some of our managers who are implicated, we actually press criminal charges against them. Hopefully that will happen in due course.
Khulu, thank you so much for joining us. We'll leave it there for now. That was Eskom spokesperson Khulu Phasiwe joining us there, just giving us an update on the former CEO of Eskom, Matshela Koko's suspension.